This uncle can fight barehanded. Normally, he was just an ordinary supermarket employee, but actually he is a former CIA agent faking his death. Fighting skills are extremely class. Speaking of the uncle, Lolita cannot be forgotten. Absolutely never touch your uncle's Lolita, otherwise you will suffer the consequences. This uncle's name is Robert McCall. Normally he lives a very rule. Wake up, eat rice on time. Working at the supermarket is also on time. At night, go to the coffee shop every night. Read a book in the corner. At the cafe, he knew a girl named Alina. Due to forced life, she has to do a job she doesn't like. That is a prostitute. She once dreamed of becoming a singer, but dreams are just dreams. Alina handed Robert one of her CDs. Robert told Alina, she can be any character, as long as she wants, as long as she changes. Two people go for a walk. Two people have not yet farewell. Then a car stopped them. The owner of the car is extremely violent. Slap her, then throw her in the car. Then he went to Robert. He thought Robert was a guest, so gave Robert a business card. He said to Robert, next time if needed, there will be a better product. After that, Alina stopped going to the cafeteria. The shopkeeper said to Robert, Alina is hospitalized. Robert rushed to the hospital. Through the glass window, he saw Alien. All over her body was heavily wounded. Alina's best friend told Robert, was beaten by Alina's boss. Because before that, Robert told Alina, life is self-chosen, so she believes. But what her boss did proved, it cannot be. When he got home, Robert looked at Alina's CD. Then he went to the address on the business card, to find Alina's boss. Robert gave all of his savings to Alina's boss, to buy back Alina's freedom. But he was rejected. Robert walked over to the door. Open, close again, then open. Several times like that. Then he locked the door and looked at everyone in the room. 5 people, 1 gun, 1 knife, 2 clutches. It takes 16 seconds. Start timing. Gun robbery, attack. The boss was hit by bullets. Steal knives, attack. 2 people were killed. Grab the clutch. End the last 2. His face has no emotion. Cleanly handling all 5 people. End time. Subtract 9 seconds of preparation, so it takes 19 seconds to process 5 people. Exceeded 3 seconds from expected. Long time no fight, embarrassed. Robert went to the table, said to the boss, before I had no choice. Now I want to be a good person. But why didn't you accept $9,800? Robert returned to normal life. But the death of 5 people has incited countless classes of gangsters. They are just a gangster branch of a large organization. The biggest boss must be Pushkin. Oil traders opened in Russia. The loss of a branch hurt his business, so he sent a trusted subordinate Ichenko to America to investigate. Ichenko is a longtime assassin. After investigating the trace, he had guessed his fellow killer must be extremely strong. He chose a different clan of prestige to intimidate the police. The police then provided him with the camera data. Ichenko recognized Robert, but he was not sure. Ichenko discovered that after the other 5 died, a girl is missing in that branch. This made him even more suspicious. Through Alina's best friend, he knows Alina and Robert's close relationship. So Ichenko pretended to be a police officer. Come home to find Robert. He asked Robert at the time of the murder, was Robert also at the scene? Robert's answer was not dumb. But Ichenko knew, this man is not an ordinary person. Robert also recognized the man in front of him, are pretending to be police. He knew he was exposed. Ichenko investigates Robert's identity, but every trace is extremely clean, so he sent his subordinates to scout. The vassal name of the cafe bullied Robert, then took him out. Ichenko sat in the car and waited outside. A truck crossed the street, then parked in front of the shop. Just within seconds. Gun robbery. Break neck. Then disconnect the power supply. The truck had just left when Robert stepped out of the shop. He took the phone with him, openly photographed Ichenko, then quickly leave that spot. Ichenko led the pursuer, but it was too dark. Robert's movements were too quick, so they lost track of Robert. But Ichenko knew Robert's address, so they broke into his house. The house is deserted, not a shadow of people. Clothes have been moved. In the computer, you still keep the history of buying air tickets. It seems that Robert has run away, but in the opposite building, Robert was observing their every action. Old house with cameras everywhere, but Robert's plan to pretend to run away. Ichenko cannot be deceived. He knows Robert is still in town. Robert also knew Ichenko was not an ordinary person. Robert found an old friend who worked in the CIA. Have her find Ichenko's files. Ichenko used to work in the Russian Special Forces. The boss behind is Pushkin, who is cooperating cooperating with the Russian gangster gangs, so they are all related to the gangster organization. Moreover, there is also a close relationship. At this point, Robert also received the document. Involves police and gangster organizations working together. Then, Robert turned to the other corrupt police. Robert forced him to speak Pushkin's information. Thanks to that, Robert found Pushkin's lair. After that, the show did not defeat the whole group. Robert dismissed the workers, and destroying Pushkin's vault. Then he gathered it all. Pushkin's crime data. Then he handed them over to the police. But it wasn't over there. That is not enough. He sees Pushkin's cargo ship number. That night he went to the dock. Have a bomb ready to detonate Pushkin's cargo ship. The train has already exploded without even looking back. Pushkin was heavily damaged and was furious. Robert must die. Ichenko received the order. Immediately a small army of mercenaries. They kidnapped Robert's colleague. They then informed Robert. Within 30 minutes, if Robert didn't come, every minute they kill a person. His colleagues are innocent. He cannot let them get involved. He used a bus to get their attention, then slowly sneaked into the supermarket. He found a bunch of mercenaries. Clean, neat movements, quickly break a person's neck, and save a colleague. Then Robert told his colleague to be the bait, and he sneaked behind another mercenary. Finally, Robert also saved all the hostages. Ichenko ordered all the remaining mercenaries to return to the supermarket. But Robert had disconnected the entire power supply. Everything is in darkness. The darkness does not affect Robert. Even this is also an environment for a sapper like him. He quickly got rid of the mercenaries. The other men who came to save their comrades also died at the hands of Robert. In the supermarket darkness, Robert is like a Black Panther. He kills one prey after another. What he used to fight. Full items are available in the supermarket. Drill example. Robert was attacked by a big dollar, which consumed a lot of strength. But in the end, Robert also stabbed him to death with a piece of glass. Robert lay on the floor exhausted. Robert's colleague came to help. Robert told him to turn on the power. Then Robert will lure his destination to the food court. He microwave flammable objects. After the power is on.
Bien.
One more person perished. Now only Ichenko remained. When Ichenko found Robert's colleague, he's going to act when. Robert was in time. Finally he showed off his shooting skills. No talk, no emotion. Ichenko was shot dead. But everything is not over yet. 3 days later at Pushkin's mansion, Robert went to see Pushkin. Pushkin was electrocuted to death. Pushkin's guards were lying on the floor. Robert slowly walked out. The whole gangster organization was destroyed by Robert alone. Robert returned to everyday life. And see Alina again. Her face has recovered. She also greeted Robert enthusiastically. She says now she is starting to read. And now a stable job. But she doesn't know. Just because of her, Robert destroyed an entire gang. The movie here is the end. It can be said that this is a special movie. It was like an evil punishment hero story. So it can be classified as a hero film. In general, the villains are just paper tigers. Today's movie comes here only. Everyone remember to like and share to support JTeam.